Okay, trig ratios. So once again, this is something you would have learned in high school. Sokatoa. Some old hags can't always handle their old age. And there's something about angels as well. There's lots of ways to remember it. Which one goes with which? So sine is with opposite and hypotenuse. Cosine with adjacent hypotenuse. Tangent, opposite and adjacent. And they're also on your cheat sheet, so you don't actually have to be able to remember them. But we do need to be able to name their right sides. So hypotenuse, that is always your longest side. So the longest side, and it is always opposite your right angle. Adjacent is just another word for next to, and it's called that because it is next to both of the angles in your question. Next to the right angle and the angle you've been given. And opposite's that because it is opposite the angle you've been given. So as long as we can label the triangle, we can do trig really easily. So it's a multi-step process. Our first step, label the sides. So here I have the one that is next to both the angles, so that's the adjacent, and I have the one opposite my angle, so opposite. So because I have opposite and adjacent, and I know Sokatoa, I know I'm going to use tan because that's the opposite and adjacent. So tan theta equals opposite over adjacent. I'll always write OP because if you write O, you're going to think it's 0 and you're going to confuse yourself. So then we just stick in the known values. So x on 4.2. So all I've done is substitute in. Next step, we want to get that x by itself. So I'm going to times both sides by 4.2, which is going to give me 4.2 times tan 48 equals x. So then we just stick them in the calculator. Times tan 48. So I know x, that side that I was looking for, is 4.66 centimeters. 1 or 2 decimal places. You're not going to be marked down as long as you're accurate. And if they tell you to go to a certain number, you go to that number. So once again, we label our sides. So here we have the hypotenuse and we have the adjacent. So that's cos theta equals adjacent over hypotenuse. Then we sub in our values. So adjacent over hypotenuse. Then we want to get that x by itself. So we're going to times both sides by 14. 37 equals x. So therefore, on my unknown side is equal to 11.18 meters. Alright, continuing on with the process. So this one is opposite my angle and this one is adjacent to both of them. So we're going to use tan again. Tan theta equals opposite over adjacent. So then we sub in our values. Equals opposite over adjacent. Alright, this one's slightly different because we have the x on the bottom. Well, it's either a two-step process or you can remember what I'm going to tell you in a second. So if we times both sides by x, we now have x tan 68 equals 12. And then we would divide both sides by tan 68. So x equals 12 on tan 68. The other way to think of it is if I've got that x on the bottom, I'm swapping these two around to get the x by himself. So then x equals by tan 68 4.85 centimeters. Beautiful. One last one. We label our sides. So hypotenuse and opposite. So that is going to be so sine. Sine theta equals opposite over hypotenuse. Sub in our values. 70 equals 7.2 over x. We want to get that x by itself, so I'm just going to swap these two. X equals 7.2 over sine 70. X equals 7.66 centimeters. And there's one other thing. So we found one side when you need to just multiply by the bottom of the So there's one more type. We found the one where you've got the unknown on the top, found the unknown on the bottom. We also need to be able to find when the unknown is the angle. So that's my last couple of examples. So once again, labeling first, adjacent and opposite. So we're going to be using tan. Tan theta equals OA, so 8.2 over 3.1. Alright, so now I want to get that theta by itself. And what we do is the opposite of tan. And the opposite of tan is called arctan. On your calculator, it looks like tan to the -1, but is technically called arctan. So all we do is go arctan of 8.2 divided by 3.1. So 69.3 degrees. It's really quite a nice little simple process. So over here we've got hypotenuse and adjacent. So that's cos theta equals 10.9 over 14.2. So theta equals arc cos of 10.9 over 14.2. Theta equals 39.9 degrees. Last one, just to make sure we're all on the same page, hypotenuse and opposite. So sine theta equals my opposite over my hypotenuse. So theta equals arc sine 500 over 824. So theta equals 37.4 degrees. And that's trig. I'm not a big fan of any of the questions in the book, so it's a worksheet to practice these questions.